it's Skagazine here, sitting with Dino from Foolish Relics.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Dino, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing up there?
Good.
We're good.
Is it cold up there?
Actually, it's rather warm this weekend. It's rainy, but it's warm.
Okay. Is it like 80 degrees warm? Because
No,
that's what it is
no,
here today.
no, it's like in the 50s, but it's December in Philly, so
That's
you
yeah,
know.
that's like summertime, perfect and perfection. So good for you guys.
All right, so Ox wants to ask a few questions before we start. Of
All right,
course.
buddy, let's do this. I'm in the ox box.
Oh yeah, the Ox box. You're right.
All right, number one, it's my first question.
Okay.
Oh. Why is the Spanish version of 2025 30 years shorter than the English version?
Okay. That's a great question. So we did a couple of things. One is we had a very long outro planned in the original 2025 30 years in English. Okay. And originally that song was supposed to be over 8 minutes long. Yeah, it had a whole let's see, it's got one, two, three, it had a fourth verse. And what happens, Ox, is when you go in the studio and you start working with other people who are in the business and they know what's good for you, they'll tell you things like, hey, this song is too long or this verse is unnecessary. And so you can either fight with them or you can agree with them. If you're wise, you'll agree with their input because they know what they're doing. But they had us cut our fourth verse out and we cut out another chorus. That would have added like 30 or 40 seconds to the song. And then the outro was supposed to be a lot longer, and they cut that as well. So the song originally, again, was supposed to be like over 8 minutes long. I think it comes in under 7 at this point on the album. And then when we recorded the Spanish version, we felt like we needed to use some studio magic to make it a little bit faster. And so we actually bumped the key up and the tempo up just a little bit, using some computerized studio magic. So I think that song is like 5% faster than
Wow.
the original version. And we did not record the outro. And there's a whole story as to why I even wrote that song in the first place, but that's a whole longer story for another time, maybe, or for the other parts of the interview, if anybody wants to know.
Question.
That was a good question. I told him it was because Spanish is faster than English.
Oh, there
But there was
a lot of Spanish music tends to like push tempos, and we felt like it was a little too slow for the Latino market that we're trying to push that song into. So
right.
Sped it up on purpose. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've heard people say that they like the Spanish version better. I love them both.
Really?
Mm-hmm. My husband's one. He likes the Spanish version better. I'm like, do you understand? And he's like, no, but I like it better.
Interesting. Well, maybe just like a little bit of the tempo and the syncopation and the vocals is a little different.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, get on to your second question so that we can get going, okay?
What advice can you give the kids that love and play music? That's the one that we do all the time.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that. So my first piece of advice is to start on piano. That is always my first point of advice, is to start on piano. I started playing piano when I was 4 years old because my parents heard me, and my grandparents heard me singing and playing, and it made sense. I had a good ear, and they got me into piano lessons at 4 years old. And I'll tell you right now, Ox, I did not like practicing piano, but everybody kept pushing me to do it. And I took piano lessons from a teacher till I was 15 or 16. I kept taking lessons. I never took a break. So I did not pick up a guitar until I was 12. And even then, I wanted an electric guitar because I wanted to be a punk rocker. This is like Nirvana had just come out a year before, and I wanted to like be Kurt Cobain. So I wanted a Strat. And but my grandpa bought me an acoustic guitar. He said, you're going to learn on this first, and then you're going to be okay to play the other guitar. So I would say just keep at it and know that it's really, really hard. And Ox, I'm like 35 years older than you, and I'm just now starting to do things that I always dreamt I would do when I was a teenager. So you just have to keep pushing at it and never give up.
If I come see you live, will I sing on stage with you?
Of course you will. You already know the words to all our songs.
Yeah.
And then I can add you to my or you can add us to your collection. And I can say, hey, this kid sung with Suicide Machines, Voodoo Glow Skulls, a bunch of other and Foolish Relics, and I can lump us all into that category. It kind of helps us up our game, okay?
All right, you done?
Yep.
What are you showing on your school paper? Okay.
All right, buddy.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
He does have a keyboard and he plays
Good.
it. So
He's got to stay on it.
but he takes drum lessons. He's been playing drums since he was 3.
Man, that's a tough one because now he's gonna have to lug drums to his gigs.
Yeah, right.
If you're a piano player who learns to be a lead singer, you just like load up your guitar and a mic and you're good.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep.
So anyway, you just talked about just now doing the things you wanted to do as a teenager.
Yeah.
I thought I read that you were in the ska scene in California. Is that true?
Yeah, so I grew up in San Diego, California. I was born in 80. So needless to say, like as I'm getting into high school, 1995, 6, 7 is when that ska scene really like starts to take shape in the third wave in San Diego and all of Southern California. So yeah, I put together in junior year of high school, my buddies and I put together a ska band.
Okay.
Because we wanted to be like Real Big Fish and Buck 09.
Of course.
Yeah, and why, like, who wouldn't want to be? Buck 09 was the local San Diego band that like everybody, we could go to their shows all the time and wanted to be like them. Like they were our rock star gods back that day. So we wanted to be on stage, we wanted to play music, and we put together a ska band with all the orchestra kids, and it was great.
Cool. How long did you guys play together for?
We played together. Gosh, it was a rotating cast of characters after a while because people started getting off to college and everything. We played from 97 to 2001.
Okay.
And, by the end of it, it was me and like one other original guy from the band. And we kept writing, a lot of different songs and kind of shifted. And we were playing like Battle of the Bands at college.
Right.
They'd have these big festivals every year, and the bands that were playing at the festivals were like Real Big Fish and Save Ferris and the Aquabats. So we always imagined like if we win the Battle of the Bands, they'll ask us to open for one of these bands, and we never quite did. We got second place in all the Battle of the Bands and never got to be the opener on stage. We always got to do like side stage stuff earlier in the day.
Right, that makes sense.
But yeah, I was in that scene, and I would go to shows and all that kind of stuff.
So after that, what did you do? Take a break from then until now, or did you just continue on your own?
Yeah, I mean, so fast forward to 2002, like I start like life and I start family and I start doing all that kind of stuff. I start, working, and it just, kind of fades away. And I really like got away from music for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We were a very, very good band. I felt like even as kids, we had all the pieces. We just never got to like have that little break. We always got up to that point where we were about to make a next step, and we never got to take that leap. So, we recorded an EP, but we ran out of money. So like the guy at the studio, Double Time Studios in San Diego, where like Blink-182 recorded and Buck 09 recorded like at that time. And here we are like out of money, and we're like, well, what do we do now? And the guys were like, it can mix what you've got, but it's unedited. We didn't do the punch-ins, we didn't do the overdubs, so I'll just make it sound as good as possible. So it was like we got our EP out and we got to do it, but it wasn't like what we had hoped for. And it, we sold it to our friends for $5. But we didn't like have traction with it. We got to play a lot of shows, but we never got to play at Soma, which was like the big show spot if you were a ska punk band at that time. So, we just always felt like we got second place in Battle of the Bands 2 years in a row. And so we never hit that point. And I think maybe I was a little discouraged by it. Plus,
Makes
plus
sense.
2002 was not really a banner year for ska bands. And it just kind of, I think the natural course of things, I took a break, and yeah, it took me a really long time to get back into it. I actually did acoustic work like for a while and tried to do like singer-songwriter type stuff. It never quite did anything for me. I lived in Oklahoma for 5 years, and I started, like, one of my buddies was playing in a bar band, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of fun to do covers and make some money playing guitar. So I did that. And that's actually carried over to Florida, and actually is why the ska thing even came up again.
Okay, I was going to say, why now?
Yeah, so COVID happened. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. And
All
it
right.
seems like, everyone got creative and went about doing different things. They had the time to do them.
Well, so
Yeah.
so I actually when COVID struck and everyone was in lockdown, like, you remember, we it kind of hit us like jarring, right? It was like, what do we do now? Well, in Florida, everybody, a lot of people who live in like communities have a lanai, like a screened-in patio, and a lot of times it's like on a lake. And I lived on a pretty good sized pond with a screened-in porch. So one day, it was like 2 days before my youngest daughter was born. I remember Jen was like super pregnant, and I'm like, I just want to play music. And so I brought my sound system to the house and set it up on the lanai and just like started cranking out tunes, just like noodling around on guitar. And people started coming out of their houses to their lanai and sitting outside in their backyards and started like doing it. And so I was like, I'm gonna Facebook Live this thing and say hey to the neighborhood. And all of a sudden there's like people moving, like coming out of their houses and like driving down the neighborhood and setting up along the pond. And so it was like this really cool. I played for like 3 or 4 hours, and my neighbor Facebook messaged me. He's like, hey, I'm a drummer. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure like everyone's a drummer, right? So finally we met, because we hadn't met before. This was just the first time we'd interacted. He's like, I'm a drummer. And I was like, well, what kind of music are you into? He's like, oh, I had a ska band like 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I had a ska band like 20 years ago. I'm like, we should do that. And he's like, I'm in. He's like, you going to be able to find horn players? And I'm like, you know what? We're going to do our best, and I'll see what I can do. So once I got into all of like out of the lockdown stuff, we got together and started jamming and found horn players and found a full band and did covers for a while, just having a good time.
So that's your current drummer?
He is not.
Okay.
He still plays with me, but we have kind of several different iterations. The band that plays the cover, like 3-hour cover shows, is a slightly different form of the band. It's got some crossover players, like John who plays sax for us. He's in both groups. Kim, who plays sax, she's in both groups. Nate, the drummer, who plays on stage with us for the original stuff, he'll fill in on those shows every once in a while. So we've all kind of played all of it. But yeah, Zach plays just originals, and we have our set for that. We have like a Sublime set we can play and pull out of our hats anytime we want. That's just like 45 minutes of Sublime tunes, and we got all that stuff kind of down. So
nice.
Yeah.
So you recorded Too Old during COVID, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, COVID in Florida, granted, was a little bit different than COVID like everywhere else in the country. We don't like need to get into that, but studios were open. Now we would go into the studio and mask up, and we're in ISO rooms and all that kind of stuff from each other. But things opened up here pretty quickly, so businesses were open as well. Yeah, we started recording it in January of 2001. Is that right? When did it come out? Too Old? No, 2002. Yeah, 2002.
2022. You're going way back.
Yeah, we recorded it with Bowling for Soup back into 2022 is when we recorded Too Old. We started working on it in January, and it came out in October. And so it was like a 4-month recording process, and then waiting. That was one of the things during COVID and it's still like into last year was part of the issue. The supply chains and everything were affected. And so it took forever to get vinyl pressed. It was like a 6 to 9 month waiting period. We got in just in that period. It was like 7 months before we had our physical copies in our hand. But some bands were waiting like over a year. I remember the Abrupters, who were on Asian Man Records, like made a big deal out of like, oh my gosh, like we still don't have our vinyl yet. It feels like forever ago that we recorded. So everyone had to be really patient. We were able to get ours out in October.
Oh, good. So October 2022. So a little
Mhm.
over a year ago.
Yes, a little over a year ago, and it's been a fun year since.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like the album is it's a great ska album, but I feel like it's for everyone, like not just established ska fans. Like anybody can pick that up and really get into it.
thank
Is
you so
that
much.
what you
Yeah.
have seen?
Yeah, we get a lot of commentary from people who aren't necessarily ska fans who like that there's like a little bit of jazz influence. I mean, our horns are like consistently harmonizing into cool chords, and some of the resolutions on those chords are just beautiful. So, you've got songs that definitely aren't like a third wave ska sound, and you've got some reggae type of vibes, some like beachy Florida, Hawaii reggae type vibes. Like In Time is just like it's like a sweet little poppy reggae tune. And again, you got Bad Situation, which is more jazzy than anything with some cool chords. You've got The Art of Confusion, which I wrote in an airport, like when I was just angry at having to travel, and just you can kind of almost hear that aggression in there, but that doesn't have a real ska feel to it.
Right.
And then you've got, of course, like Thank You for Skanking is like an electronic tune. So yeah, we definitely, I think, ran the gamut of possibilities. I think that's one of the strengths of the album. Is
Absolutely.
it doesn't like niche into just, oh, like this sounds like everything else I've ever heard.
Hmm.
Um, and with the 10 songs that are on it, granted, 2 of them are the same song, but even they sound different. The Spanish
Right.
and English version of 2025-30. So we tried to make sure it was a good mix.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be an opportunity for you to not just play with ska bands, but like Catbite to go out with other bands,
Oh,
other
absolutely.
genres, which is amazing.
Well, even last year on our tour, and we like the idea of being like in mixed genre
Mhm.
shows. Namely because anytime we've played one of these mixed genre shows, which was most of our tour, people are like, oh my gosh, like I don't like ska, but I actually really liked you guys. Um,
Hmm.
and that's a huge compliment. So when we played like in New Orleans, we played with a band called Abby and the Arsonists, and they're like a spacey, dreamy, like female led, almost like a psychedelic rock band with like a
Okay.
lot of really dark humor. And I'm like, here we are, like happy little ska band with our horns, and like everyone like encouraged to dance around. And then that's like they played with us, and um, it was fun to like have that mix, and that happened. We played with an acoustic, Bard of Baldwin County for 2 shows. It's an acoustic show with all kinds of like folk influence, and it was just fun being with Bard for 2 nights. So just real different, and we like it that way, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like you can go many places with your music.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. That's, like I said, a huge compliment. I don't know that we designed it that way, but it came out that way, and I was very pleased. I mean, these songs all started like on guitar.
Right.
They like I've got old demos of Art of Confusion and Bad Situation where those horn lines are originally like guitar lines, and I'm trying to play like heavy metal riffs or something. And like and then they evolve into what we did in the studios and what we did on stage. So it was a lot of fun.
How long did the album take to record?
I think we spent 4 months. We started in January, and definitely by like May we were starting to press like, oh my gosh, we got to get this done. But everyone works full time. The studio we recorded at is like top notch down here in Sarasota, Burnt Orange, and it's a busy studio. Matt Desir, who's the owner and the engineer and the producer on the album, like that's one busy dude. So we had to fill in time wherever we could.
Right.
And it had to manage with our schedules. Getting 4 horn players together like wasn't necessarily always the easiest thing to do, getting the backup vocals with 4 people wasn't the easiest thing to do. Getting a group of people to sing, and we had like, 10 or 12 people singing together at the end of 25, 30 years.
You can tell.
That's not easy to get that many people in a room together at the same time who you want. So yeah, we just took our time with it. We were patient with it. Again, COVID, like you kind of had to be patient with everything.
Yep.
So I think definitely a sign of the times. I don't know that this time around that things will go the same. I think we're going to be on a little bit tighter schedule when we record again. So,
well, we can't wait to hear it. Are you recording right now? I thought I heard you may be.
So we are in pre-production right now on our
Okay.
second album, going to be a full length again. And yeah, we just kept writing and playing after the album, and new songs came up that we love playing live. I mean, people who've seen us live are going to know several songs already. But after the album came out, we released a single, Ghosted. We did Pulled Up for the Punk Pioneers compilation from the Specialized Project. So like, it's like we stayed in the studio. We did Thank You for Skankin', a band version of it for Supernova as well. And people who like saw the Supernova promos heard this little janky Thank You for Skankin', Supernova Skankin' thing in the background of the videos. So like we stayed in the studio and I think just kept writing and churning out stuff. So it's cool to say after a year of finishing up a year and a half ago that we started that project, that we've already got a batch of songs that we're really excited about. So right now we're just rehearsing a lot. We're still whittling down what ended up being 18 songs that we batched for this album, which is a lot of songs.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to cut a few. I feel like the best albums come out when you have to cut a song and you really like feel the pain of it. You're like, man, I was really looking forward to recording this one, but I think it's the right thing for this album. And the advice we're getting is, the same. I think that's a sign of like a good thing to come. So we've got a really strong batch of songs. People who've heard it demo wise are like, wow, I didn't think you guys would have this good of output on a second album this quickly. And so I'm pumped. So we're hitting the studio in February officially. So we're going to stay in pre-production until February, but then in February, those drums get tracked and like we are sailing.
So you're thinking maybe by the end of the year, 2024?
That's the idea, by the end of the year. And yeah, for all those, record labels out there in the ska punk universe who are like, Foolish Relics work really hard and they put out a good album and they did well on their own with this little thing, but maybe we should scoop them up for a end of 2024 release. That's the PSA right there. We are open to negotiations. And by that, we mean we would love for you to know that we're doing this and even like us on Facebook or Instagram. So yeah, we're excited. End of the year, I think, is a good goal. I think we might even be recording some Christmas songs.
Oh, cool.
Because we keep getting hit up for Christmas stuff that we missed this year. Like On the Upbeat does their great compilation every year. We didn't have anything. We're like, we're done with the studio. We're so over being in the studio for a while. So they definitely will have something from us, and we'll see how many of those Christmas songs we like nail down. It's probably the most random collection of Christmas songs that I've ever seen in my life that could be a little Foolish Relics Christmas EP or something like that. So we'll see what happens. But the point is we're having a lot of fun, still writing a lot, still recording a lot, and demoing a lot. So it's a lot of fun.
You're answering my questions before I ask them, by the way.
All right.
I was going to ask you if you were going to do this on your own or look to a label to help you out this time. You think that's the direction you want to take?
Yeah, I mean, we would love for a label to scoop us up and do things for us. I mean, I think the truth is we still have very much like indie in our blood. So I mean, we're a hardworking band. So we already have like the recording ready to be paid for. So we're not looking for a label like step in and be like, we'll pay for you to record. Like we're already funding that, and we'll fund the physical pressings. We have all of that in our budget. We've worked really hard over the last year and a half to get ready for this project. So, but there's amazing labels in the ska scene. And I think just the natural development of the band is getting that like attention from one of the bigger labels that's in the ska scene and being able to be lumped in with these bands that we're friends with and bands that we love. Not only that, I mean, we really felt like the album was a really strong like seller, and that was just all really on our own. We're almost out of physical copies of Too Old across CD, vinyl, and tape. And so to be able to do that much, and the streaming numbers have been strong, like to be able to do that much on our own in a year and a half, I think the natural progression is what happens if we were able to align with one of these bigger labels and just basically have the attention that they draw to a broader audience. So we're definitely, that's something we're looking for. So
maybe somebody will see this.
I hope somebody will see that.
I think there's a couple of labels following Skagazine.
You know who you are. If you check your email inboxes, you know who you are. You probably have emails from me as well saying, hey, what's up? So, yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Anyway, this new album, in what ways do you expect it to be like Too Old, and in what ways do you expect it to be different?
That's a great question. The energy of I think Too Old had a nice energy to it. But when we play live, we're like, and I think you've probably seen video that we posted. I might have sent you something.
Yeah, I haven't been able to actually see it live yet, but I hope that changes next year.
Absolutely, that would be great. But yeah, we have an energetic sound. We have a pretty big sound for what we usually play as a 5 or 6 piece, and so I think the energy on the second album is probably going to be different. We're not going to be tackling the theme of me feeling like a Too Old reject. So I think that, I mean, really, like the Too Old album was literally the byproduct, and that song was a byproduct of people telling me, what are you doing starting a ska band at like in your 40s? Like, what are you doing recording? What are you doing playing shows? Like, you got to be kidding. And they would ask questions. The questions they asked are all in the song Too Old. Like, people said, like, ska isn't relevant anymore. Like, why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't think so, pal. Like, I think there's a lot more to this than you think. And what have we seen in the last 3 years? The scene's like really blossomed beautifully.
Yes.
So I might say I was very prescient on that issue, but no, we I helped it move along. No, yeah, so the energy is going to be different. I think the songs are going to be kind of all over the map as well.
Okay.
Again, we've got yes, it'll be a good mix. I mean, again, the idea we talked about Too Old, but like it comes off more like a mixtape almost. Like it's themed well as an album, but it's like comes off very mixtapey, I think, with the different vibes. And we've got some ideas for this album for some of the tracks that should be on there, might be on there. It's not just going to be a straightforward ska punk album. The other part of it that's different is the first album, again, due to the circumstances, was really written and like put together by me pretty much by myself. The band would say that, yeah, that was really Dino's baby. And then when the artwork came around, he put himself on the cover. So our artist put me on a pinball machine. I was stoked, but like you look back at that and you're like, how pompous do I have to be to put myself on an album cover in cartoon mode? But anyway, that album was my baby. It was really the byproduct of 20 years of pent up ideas and pent up energy for this. This album has come a lot more collaboratively because the band is all, it's together now and we're rehearsing and we're playing on stage. We toured last summer. So like we're trying these songs out. We have a little acoustic trio group of us that plays right now in the kind of the downtime of playing. So we don't have to get the whole band together. And we're mixing these new songs in like after The Joker by Steve Miller Band and like some Sweet Caroline, at a brewery. And we're like mixing one of our new tunes and we're getting good responses on it, but it's just, everyone's got their input this time around. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think that will probably show. And it will shape the writing a little bit. The other part of it is I've learned a lot of studio tricks and sonic tricks. And the shout out for that is Krista Makes a Podcast. Yeah, Chris Makes a Podcast is something that's like required listening for me.
Yeah, I
And
listened to that myself.
yeah, and how many times have they gone through them and like, oh, this is what you do when you want to like do this? And we started incorporating some of those elements in Pulled Up and in Ghosted, which is why those songs and the Supernova Skankin sound maybe a little bit different. They have a little bit tonal quality that's different than the two old album. I got really into playing organ with Ghosted. And so now that instrument has shown up in all of the subsequent recordings. Thank You for Skankin', Supernova, and Ghosted and Pulled Up all had organ in it. So even that like just changes the sound sonically, but I think opens things up.
Cool.
Yeah, it fills out the sound a bit, makes it sound a little bit bigger and more robust.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys to hear it. It's going to be good. I think people are going to be surprised, and we always have like huge dreams. I think it's probably consistent with most like artists, most bands. Like you have huge dreams, and like some of them will never be realized, but we have some huge ideas for this album. And I guess I can talk. I'm not going to go into details about like the single that would be the lead single, but I think that lead single alone, if we get everything we want for the sound and the recording and the music video that we've already started dreaming about, it could be a big leap that will put us into like the cultural zeitgeist more than just like the ska scene, because our ideas for that are huge and will definitely like be mainstream, not in the bad ways. I just think culturally mainstream, like people our age are going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they pulled that off, because it's a bit of a throwback. And that's kind of all I can say right now.
All right, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Talk to me about tour. You guys went out on a small tour for the first album?
Yeah, it was we were out for 10 days in the Southeast, and we've all got like families and jobs. It's not like we can like just stop doing that. I mean, like those of people out there who know me know that my family is with me like 24/7. I mean, we're at Supernova, like
I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, and Jen, my wife,
I love that,
girl with the horse, she's right by my side, and then we've got our now 3.5-year-old Hannah, and she like is a little nutball, and she loves being at those. And the louder the band and the more aggressive, the more she's into them. So like, she was singing Dancing with Ox during Glow Skulls.
I remember.
And Annie like loves all of this and is just like taking it in at 14, and she's just really there. So we took, and my daughter Charlotte, who's 11, she's a little bit more like, whatever, he's so lame with his band, but then she's like this awesome kid who like when she's there, she's cool with it. So we all went out on tour together. That's awesome. Like there's a reason that like bands don't have their families on tour. I was driving the car like with my family in it, and like every time we had to go to the bathroom or like stop to eat, pull over, I'm pulling the trailer with my car, the rest of the band's in the other car, and like I get home at 1:00 at night after singing a show, and Hannah's up at 6 a.m. in a hotel like, hey, good morning, Dad, can we watch Paw Patrol? And I'm like, go to sleep, I just want to sleep long. And like, so there were definitely challenges to doing that, which is why we did a shorter tour. And we're probably
tour nanny. I found that's the thing, a tour nanny. The Dolly Rots go out with their kids. Have you heard of them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And we took
oh yeah, because they're from Florida. Yeah. They were at Camp Pennsylvania last year, and I met their tour nanny, and she takes care of the kids while they're on tour. And I was like, this is so cool.
So we actually did that. We brought like a tour nanny with us. And I'm just gonna say that however we imagined it would work out, it didn't work out. It was the complete opposite of that. And it was a bit of a train wreck. So it made it really difficult on us.
Okay.
Because we ended up
the ideal situation, huh? Not the right nanny.
It literally like did not work out. Just we'll try it again next time around, obviously. But it just, didn't work out this time.
Yeah, I thought
So
it was really cool. They bring the kids up on stage. The one kid plays a yo-yo, the other was playing the drums. I was like, this is rad.
exactly.
And then Ox made friends with them. They were in the bounce house together and on the carnival
Yeah.
ride. So,
Of course Ox would make friends with them and all the bands.
yeah. So this time around, you plan on hitting more states, but maybe in like short spurts. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think we're trying to get up to the Northeast. That's where a lot of our friends are. I don't think that like just getting to California or like the West Coast right now probably isn't feasible. Again, we're still in that indie kind of vibe. And so, who knows, like if one of the labels, picks us up on the second album and has some plans, then that's fine. But right now we're very much in DIY mode. So we really want to get up to the Northeast. That's a short, well, I should say it's a long day drive, but we can get up there in a day,
Right.
ideally, and then play shows for a long weekend or for 6 or 7 days and get home. So that's probably like that's how we top out, is kind of going regionally and finding a few things to do. I know that we're hoping for a few phone calls and emails, coming up soon on things that we've
Festivals, maybe?
maybe some festivals we've thrown our irons in the fire, and
Okay.
of course balls in their court. We of course block off mid-September on our calendars and tell work we're not going to be available in case of that beautiful phone call were to come. But
And either way, you're going to be there, right?
but either way, yeah. So like it is just a waiting game and being patient, and that's just part of the game. But yeah, we're excited. I think maybe some of those festival things pop in and everything else falls into place. That would be really cool.
That would be
So
awesome.
yeah, we'll
Plan it out around that.
exactly. That's what we're wanting to do. So if any of the festival folks are watching, in Croydon's like obviously like incredible, and
Yes.
that
My
would be
favorite festival. I know everyone's favorite festival is Supernova, but Croydon Fest is like my heart.
absolutely.
That
Yeah,
is my spot. I live there. It's 15 minutes from my house.
yeah,
So it's like all of the people who I see at Supernova in Camp Pennsylvania and I talk to all the time come here to me. And,
sure.
there's
Yeah,
something
and then here I am like in Florida, just kind of stuck and like begging bands to come down here out of the cold. Like, we're playing in the winter with Stop the Presses in
Oh, I
February.
love them. I'm going to see them this Friday.
Well, then you can tell them, hey, I heard you guys are playing with Foolish Relics in
Yeah.
February. Where we put a festival together with them and the Free Coasters and Loser coming out from California.
And Free
And
Coasters this Friday too.
yeah, yeah. So tell the Free Coasters and Stop the Presses I'm hanging out with Dino from Foolish Relics online and doing interviews. And yeah, they'll be playing with us in February down here in Sarasota. So we're excited about that.
How was your show with Joker's Republic?
So much fun, man. I
Yeah,
love those guys. And I
they're
mean,
awesome.
that show, it was on a Monday night. And so it was kind of a spot on Austin's schedule that when I was talking to them a long time ago, like they had an open slot. So we got some people together here. And I felt for like a Monday night, it was really like here in Bradenton, it was a great show. We had a great little crowd. And Jokers is just the bomb. Like I love those guys.
They're a lot of fun.
And yeah, so yeah, look forward to playing with those guys again sometime. Maybe again coming up that way.
Right.
That'll make it
And
happen.
they're in my neck of the woods. I see Austin at all the shows in Philly and Jersey.
Now he's got his doesn't he have his foot in the Starland Ballroom? He's like the darling of the Starland
Oh,
Ballroom
is
now.
he? I know he played a show there. I
Well, yeah, I
didn't
mean,
make it.
I'm
Uh,
inflating probably the reality of it, but like we'll play with Jokers at Starland Ballroom anytime.
Starland
It just like
Ballroom, Broken Goblet. Come on.
yeah, hey, we'll play in Asbury Park you know what? If the Stone Pony's looking for a ska band at any point, we'll go up and play there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
we'll make
I
it.
imagine I'm going to see him Sunday night at Cat by Bouncing Souls. That's at
Yeah.
Star.
Well, you tell Austin I say hello as
I
well.
will.
We're such a cool little community of like,
I
again,
love it. I really do. I was telling Weston last week, like I'm a punk girl more than a ska girl, but I just love the ska scene so much more in the community. And I mean, the punk scene's great. Don't get me wrong,
right.
but there's something special about the ska scene. There really is.
Annie is the one who kind of put a nail on it for me. Annie, so I guess I could tell you, we've got another version of Thank You for Skanking coming. which we're
I
really
thought you were
excited
gonna say
about.
something else. Okay.
Yeah. So we got another version of Thank You for Skanking coming out that we're excited about. It'll be on the album. This is something we're going to work on in the studio, but it kind of talks through how, like, if you don't know what you're doing, you just kind of go and let the energy kind of move you, and then you end up in this mode that's so beautiful in the ska scene with all your friends, right?
Mhm.
And Annie experienced that at Supernova. I was like, Annie, go like in the pit, go
Yeah.
dance around. And she's like, I don't want to. Like, I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to do. And I remember just telling her, like, let go. And then I left her alone for a while and came back at one point, and she was like bopping her head. And then all of a sudden, like, an hour later, she's like moving her arms and like moving around. And like, she inspired me to write some new words for
Oh,
Thank You for
that's cool.
Singing that are just about like, this is what we do. And the kind of the last line of the song talks about how we're all in this together, and like, let's let the love and the energy flow. And it's such a beautiful thing when we all skank together. And
Absolutely.
like, that sea of heads bopping up and down when Tokyo Ska Paradise was playing at Supernova, like, we were all out, it was just this beautiful thing, and we're all in it together. And I feel like ska and the positivity and the love in the sound and the music gels that together really nicely.
Yeah, it really does. And I had the opportunity to stand right next to Annie during the cat bite set, and she was having a great time.
Oh yeah,
I don't think you
absolutely.
were with her. I think she was just by herself at that point.
Yeah, no, I was like backstage when the shout out happened that Cat did
Yeah.
for her
Okay.
birthday, and all my friends were like pointing at her like, here she is. And I'm like, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
I think it was Annie. I think Mohawk Mike was like right near us, and
and John Castro, I
yeah,
love those guys. Yeah. Mikey Rude was around.
just having a
So
good time.
yep, absolutely.
Are any of your kids into music, like playing music, or want to pursue a music career?
Yeah, Annie is a good little singer, and last year
Okay,
she picked up trombone in orchestra.
cool.
Um, it's one of the instruments I don't play. I play quite a few instruments, but like, I really have never gotten my head around playing trumpet and trombone, which I should, because I love ska. And if I could be like Jer and play everything, maybe I would, but I can't.
Right.
It's never been my thing. So Annie picked up trombone in band this year, and she's working at that. She sings in chorus. She's in like the advanced highest chorus at her middle school. Charlotte's a good little singer, and she's talking about joining chorus. And then Hannah at 3.5 is like, she's a little musical monster. She already has her own little like drum kit and an E kit at the house, so we can turn it down.
Oh,
She
cool.
plays she plays on that, but she sits in the car and she listens to, like, she's got a playlist, and every single day that we listen to in the car on the way to school, and she knows every word to these songs. It's Vampire by Mustard Plug,
Uh-huh.
Battle Dancing Unicorns with Glitter by Five Iron Frenzy, Lioness by Rude Girl Review. We've got like Blitzkrieg Bop in there by the Ramones.
Uh-huh.
One of my songs, Ghosted, is in there because she calls it the rattlesnake song, because I played a vibra slap on it and it goes and I actually rattlesnaked it across the mic, which is
That's
again one
funny.
of the studio tricks. Um, I think she's just got like a lot of talent. And my oldest daughter, who's going to be an adult soon, she is a very talented singer. She learned to play bass in like a week. And when I was doing the COVID show, she played with me, played bass. Like, I just hand her a sheet with the notes and she just figured them out, and she knows music really well. So yeah, all the kids are musical, and Jen's really musical, but she's a beautiful singer, but won't sing at all. Ever.
Hmm.
Ever. Except in the
Doesn't want to do it
car.
like in public. Is that what you mean?
Like, even in the car,
Yeah.
like, unless we're driving home and we've like enjoyed our evening together and like inhibitions are lowered,
Uh-huh.
she might bust out singing like Tom Petty or something, like just for a minute before she realizes she's singing out loud. She's got a great voice though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because maybe one day you'll have a little family band. So
Well, family Scobbin, I might have to have more kids. It's not going to happen. Heck no.
oh goodness. All right, well, that's all I had. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't have anything I want to add necessarily, just that again, we're still out there. We're busy. We are working really hard to make great music. We thank our fans so much. Like that's been overwhelming and so much love we get from people all over the world who like reach out to us. And we're a small little like tight knit scene. And so like I would say probably every band is dependent on the people in our lives to like spread the word about us. So like tell people who we are and like you know, tell them what you heard and tell them what you liked and keep getting the word out. And hopefully this train is just kind of getting going. So
Where
yeah.
can people find you and where can they find your music?
They can find us anywhere you can stream music, Spotify, Apple Music, probably like Bearshare, Napster, LimeWire. Or those things exist
I don't
anymore?
know. I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, are they still out
No.
there?
I
don't
think
know.
Napster does, but you have to like pay for it. But anywhere you can stream music, YouTube, we've got a few music videos on there, just at Foolish Relics. And
But
then
yeah, I
Insta.
actually embedded some of them onto the Skagazine site. I forgot to tell you, I did that on the interview.
No, that's cool. No, it's great. I mean, we love our music videos. That's
Yeah,
why we did them.
they're great
Um,
videos.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're again at Foolish Relics on social media and we post, quite a bit and let everyone know what's going on. But for the next couple of months, we are going to be busy recording and making something that we're really going to be proud of. So I think you guys are all going to be really excited to hear it. And I'm excited to play it for you. So
Cool. We can't
yeah.
wait. I see you have your guitar there.
Yes, I do.
Hi, Joe. You want to play a little bit today?
Yeah. What do you guys want to hear?
What do you want to hear?
Words on the bathroom wall be the finale.
Okay. You want to hear words on bathroom walls? All right. All right.
Are you gonna let Dino sing it or are you gonna sing it?
Both.
Okay.
I'll do the
Words on bathroom walls don't mean nothing at all. Cowards run their mouths and they're gonna take the fall. Wouldn't it be great if you were kinder to everyone? I don't understand how putting people down could be so much fun. If I could do it again, I would take it all back. If we could just be a little bit nicer to each other, stand tall and back one another, my friend, things they would change. If we could just add a little more life to each other, be good to our sisters and brothers, my friend, things they would change. But one thing I know, this can't stay the same. Writing on the bathroom stalls don't mean nothing at all. They bully me, they bully you, but they couldn't take a second of it at all. They hide behind social and squads, throw all kinds of shade. And they don't see how weak they are, they think they've already got it made. If I could do it again, I would take it all back. If we could just be a little bit nicer to each other, stand tall, back one another, my friend, things they would change. If we could just spend a little more to each other, be good to our sisters and brothers, my friend, things they would change. But one thing I know, this can't stay the same. They say that sticks and stones are gonna break my bones, but what they say won't ever hurt me. But what do they all know? I'm the one taking every blow, while they just laugh and walk right past me. They'll never see my hurt, and they'll never know my worth. I'm just someone that's pushed around. Rather than leave a pros, this kindness we could choose. We kind of got too much to lose. To just feel
The guys that
other, stand tall, back one another, my friend. Things they would change. If we could just so to each other, be good to our sisters and brothers, my friend. Things they would change. If we could just be a little bit nicer to each other, stand tall and back one another, my friend. Things they would change. If we could just spread a little more love to each other, be good to our sisters and brothers, my friend. Things they would change. But one thing I know, one thing I know, one thing I know, this can't stay the same.
That was great.
Thank you. I don't get to do acoustic a lot without the horn players here, but that was kind of fun. So thank you guys for asking. That's really cool.
What's in my head?
You can hear your horns in your head. Awesome.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I know. I was gonna like start humming them, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be weird. So, but yeah, no, thank you guys for asking.
Not really horns. I do know one thing. They're
Yes.
not really horns, and you just make the sound effects of the horns with the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a kazoo or something, maybe I could have done it. But yeah, I could play the horn line, but I can't play the horn line and play the chords at the same time and sing. So, maybe you should have learned the horn line, Ox, on guitar. It's really easy. I think it's like 4 notes.
Oh, maybe that can be a challenge for you.
There we go.
All right.
We'll see what happens, okay?
All right, well, that was fun. So everybody can find Dino Foolish Relics on Instagram, Facebook, music streaming everywhere you listen to your music. Maybe Napster. I don't know.
Who knows? Give it a shot. Go on Napster.com and see if Foolish Relics is out there, and let us know on Instagram and Facebook.
Maybe you're on MySpace.
Exactly. Oh, that would be classic, wouldn't it?
Anyway, that's it. 2024 is going to be a big year. We're going to see some new music, maybe some tours in the Northeast.
Yeah, maybe some festivals, and we'll get out there. We love it. Again, thank you guys so much for all your love and support. Thank you to all the fans that are watching. And just keep supporting all these, little bands and in between bands and big bands, and we'll keep doing what we're doing because we love doing it.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you so much for coming on.
We'll see you guys later. All right.
Well.